Good morning. How are you all? Glad you're here. Work on anything that needs to be turned in for ELA until attendance is done. You are right now working on any assignments that still need to be turned in for this half of the quarter, first half of the quarter. Okay. All right, let's get started. You're going to need to take out notes to do notes on the video. All right. We have a guest at our door, but you can't come in. All right. Anyway, I'm going to share my screen. We are going to work on a video, look at a video, the part 2 for the argument analysis, so that way you have that information so that you can be ready for the test when we're ready to do that. Here we go. Make sure you take some notes. There's not a lot. It's just a little short piece of information. Okay. Analyzing the argument, the evidence, part 2.
The previous video was about understanding how an argument is built so we can read it critically and see if the argument is logical. Make sure you watch that video first. Now, one way to analyze the argument is to look closely at the evidence the writer presents and ask if it is relevant and sufficient. So stick around and let's talk about evaluating the evidence.
So this would be your title, Analyzing the
Hi,
Argument.
welcome to Snap Language. Mark Franco here. So to build an argument, we present a series of claims that lead to a conclusion. Of course, the premises in the argument must support the conclusion in a way that makes sense. Of course. You'd be surprised, though. Even an argument that appears to make sense may not be really strong. It may not be a valid argument. Let's look at a fairly obvious example first. Xtown is a great place to live. It has many parks and recreation areas where you can relax and exercise. Its parks have vast green areas, including trees and wildflowers. The X-Town Public Library was founded in 1841, making it one of the oldest libraries in the area. In this simple paragraph, the topic is X-Town. The point the author wants to make is that X-Town is a great place to live. The author presented 3 premises to support.
Hang on. Got people coming in and everything happening all at once. Let me reshare. All right. It's back.
Support this conclusion. Now, looking at each premise closely, the first is that X-Town has many parks and recreation areas. That's actually good evidence. Most people would agree that this makes any town a good place to live. The next premise is that the parks are green and beautiful. Well, that's more information about the parks still. What else is there? The final premise is that X-Town has an old library. Oh, that's great, but the conclusion is that it's a great place to live. Having an old library is interesting, but it's not quite relevant to that conclusion. That's not very closely related to the claim. It doesn't provide adequate support. So pretty parks is good evidence. An old library, not so much. Is that all? Typically, when you think of a good place to live, you think of safety, good jobs and schools, shops and restaurants, good transportation, and so forth. The author here said nice things about X-Town, but one relevant piece of evidence isn't quite enough to support a conclusion. X-Town is a very safe place to live. Take a quick stroll around town and you will likely run into friendly and helpful people. A study showed a 60% decrease in robberies and burglaries in recent years. No violent crimes were reported last year. What's the point or the conclusion here? Does the author present sufficient evidence to support that conclusion? Is the evidence relevant to the conclusion?
Okay, so this narrator keeps using the term relevant evidence. And we've seen that used in some of our assignments before. Relevant evidence is something that specifically or factually helps to support the main idea. When you are reading, you want to make sure that your evidence is relevant to the main point. If it's not relevant, like the library, then it is irrelevant, not relevant to what they're talking about.
Pause the video and see if you can answer these questions. Did you pause the video? The main point here is that X-Town is a safe place to live. Starting from the bottom here, no one reported any violent crimes last year. Yes, that's relevant to being a safe place. But what about previous years? Maybe last year was different somehow? The writer also mentioned no violent crimes. How about other types of crimes? But overall, no violent crime could mean it's a safe place, so let's say it's okay evidence for now. Besides, we must consider all the evidence, so let's continue. There was a 60% reduction in crimes. That sounds good. Well, 60% of what number? If there were, say, 1,000 crimes before, 60% fewer than 1,000 is still a lot of crimes. A writer often includes a study and statistics or data because they provide strong support to a claim, and readers tend to believe this type of information. As critical readers, we know sometimes it only sounds good. We still need to ask questions to see if any piece of information truly supports the main point, regardless where the information comes from. Finally, you'll run into a lot of friendly, helpful people in X-Town. The point is that it's a safe place, not how nice the people are. As you can see, even when it appears there's good information to support a conclusion, you should always evaluate the evidence. Did the author present sufficient information? Is all the information good and relevant to the conclusion?
So the important thing to remember and to write is that you have to investigate relevant material versus irrelevant. Evidence that supports versus evidence that is not needed.
In this paragraph, not so much. I'm not saying you should never believe anything you read. If we trust the source, it's very likely the writer will do their best to support their claims and provide sufficient and relevant information. But we don't want to learn something that's not very accurate, right? We don't want people to persuade us to believe something unless they give us very good reasons to do so. So we should always read critically, always make sure conclusions are logical and accurate and supported by sufficient and relevant information. Is that all? Yes, pretty much. So next time you read something, look closely. I often put extra information in the description box below.
Okay, now he's doing an ad. So when you are doing analysis, you want to make sure that yes, you have facts, but your evidence definitely supports your main point. Whatever your main point is, your evidence needs to support that and give enough information that people can trust what you're saying. All right. So that's part two.
The previous video was about understanding how a
Stop. So now you're going to do a quick write. I'm going to show you two pictures and a paragraph, and I want you to think about those and do a quick write, mostly comparing and contrasting and looking at thinking about the 5 W's. Oops, wrong one. Sorry. It's 11. The 5 question words. Think about what is Michael Pollan trying to tell us about these chickens and these cows in Omnivore's Dilemma. Who are the main characters? What is he talking about? What is the problem? When is this happening? Why does it happen? Where does it take place? How do you solve the problem? Is there a problem? Nope.
the previous.
So you're going to do a quick write. That's your assignment for today. We're doing it in class. Take a look at these chickens. Now, these chickens are supposed to be on an organic farm. Organic means it's healthy. These are similar to the cows that Michael Pollan has been talking about. Look at where they're at. Look at how they're bunched together. Is this healthy? Is it not healthy? What do you think? What is the author's purpose in telling us about these animals? And here is, nope. Here is the paragraph. We're only looking at the second paragraph. You have a picture of chickens, you have a picture of cows. This paragraph is about the chickens. We've already read about the cows. The sheds look more like a military barracks than a barn. They are long, low buildings with giant fans at either end. To go inside, I had to put on a white hooded suit since the birds have received no antibiotics and they are all genetically alike. If one gets sick, they will all get sick. An infection could kill 20,000 birds overnight. What's the purpose of him telling us about these chickens and this building that they're in? What is it that he wants us to know? What are your thoughts? How do these chickens living in this military barrack type barn relate to the cows in the pen? So go to your Google Classroom. You are going to, oops, I took it down. You're going to do a quick write about the chickens and the cows, comparing and contrasting. If I can get there. Wrong one. So look in your Google Classroom. You have the assignment. So under week of November 9th until November 13th, open the assignments. You have a Google Doc there. Open that, and that's where you're going to write your quick write. Don't forget to put your name on there. Content 2 and today's date. It's just a quick write. Okay. Stop typing on yours. I'd rather you write it on the Google Doc. It's easier for me to score it. It won't let you. Try opening up a Google. Try opening up a Google Doc yourself. If you can't open the one I sent you, open a different one. So what do I mean when I say do a quick write about this? You are writing about the images and that paragraph. If you need to open your Destiny library book, you can do that. It's page 149, chapter 11. It's the third page on chapter 11. Do you need the images back up? It's a pen of chickens and a pen of cows. This is the image. It's a bird's life in your library. There you go. How's that? You're welcome. Yeah, just go to chapter 11, and it's the third page that says it's a bird's life. The second paragraph after the title, it's a bird's life in chapter 11. Okay. Okay, excellent. You have 6 more minutes to work on this. You can work on it during your asynchronous. Start reading chapter 11. We're going to go there in 3 more minutes. No, don't copy mine. I'm just giving you an example.
Cereal. Cereal.
Do you see me teaching? That's rude. I will get you some in just a minute, okay?
Okay.
Give me a few minutes. Okay?
I'm going to give my drink.
No, don't type what I'm typing. I'm just doing an example for you. I'm doing the compare and contrast between the two animals. And then I'm pulling in information from the paragraph so that way I can ask my own questions of what's going on. So it's my who, my what, my when. This is just an example of what I would be looking for. Okay. If you did not finish your quick write, and I'm not finished, I do want to add a little bit more, not a whole lot, just a little bit. And I want to ask a couple of other questions. So I'm going to work on this after you guys leave. But this is my quick write. Yours may not be as long as mine, but you want to make sure that you're comparing and contrasting the chickens and the cows, what you already know about the cows, what you have just learned about the chickens, and how's Michael Pollan's purpose fit with all of this? Okay. And don't forget the paragraph. It talks about the antibiotics and stuff, or no antibiotics. All right, so let's go back to our slides. And we're going to work on chapter 11. Oops. Yeah.
Chapter.
So I'm going to open, oops, let me start this and then we're going to read. So please read along. It will tell you information about what's going on in that chapter. If you want to add it to your quick write, you don't have to. It's just that paragraph that we looked at. Okay?
11. More big organic. Meet Rosie, the free-range chicken. I visited Rosie, the free-range organic chicken, at her farm in Petaluma. Of course, this wasn't the same Rosie as the chicken I'd bought at my Whole Foods market. Rosie is the brand name for a type of chicken raised in Petaluma Poultry. Like Earthbound Farm, Petaluma Poultry is a large industrial organic company. When I got to Petaluma, I looked for a pretty little red barn, a cornfield, and a farmhouse, like the ones on the Petaluma package. But by now you'll have guessed that I couldn't find them. Petaluma turns out to be more animal factory than farm. Rosie lives in a shed with 20,000 other Rosies. You ask, what about the free range words on Rosie's label? Doesn't that mean they can freely range outside? Not exactly. It's true that there's a little door in each shed leading out to a narrow grassy yard, but here's the catch. The door remains firmly shut until the birds are at least 5 weeks old. By that time, they are so used to the shed that none of them go outside. And then all of them are slaughtered 2 weeks later. Rosie and all the other chickens raised at Petaluma are the same breed, Cornish cross spoilers. The Cornish cross is a type of chicken breed for the industrial food chain. It is the fastest growing chicken ever, turning corn into meat faster than any other bird. They go from an egg to full size in just 7 weeks. In fact, the bird grows so rapidly that their poor legs cannot keep up. Often, by 7 weeks, Rosie can no longer walk. It's a bird's life. The folks at Petaluma give me a tour of the fully automated processing plant. The machinery there can turn a chicken from a clucking feathered bird into a shrink wrap pack of parts in just 10 minutes. After the tour, the head of marketing drove me out to the chicken houses. The sheds look more like military barracks than a barn. They are long, low buildings with giant fans on either side. To go inside, I had to put on a white hooded suit. Since the birds receive no antibiotics, they are all genetically alike. If one gets sick, they will all get sick. An infection could kill 20,000 birds overnight. 20,000 is a lot of chickens. Inside the shed, they formed a moving white carpet that stretched nearly the length of a football field. The air was warm and humid, and it smelled powerfully of ammonia and from their droppings. The fumes caught my throat. Compared to the conventional chickens, I was told these organic birds have it pretty good. They get a few more square feet square inches of living space per bird. It was hard to see how they could be packed together much more tightly because there are no hormones or antibiotics in their feed to speed growth. They get to live a few days longer. I stepped back outside into the fresh air, grateful to escape the humidity and the smell. Running along the entire length of each shed was a grassy yard, maybe 15 feet wide. USDA rules say an organic chicken should have access to the outdoors. But as I've seen, the birds never go outside, even when the doors are open. That is no accident. The last thing Petaluma wants is for these birds to go outside and catch a cold. My organic industrial meal. After visiting Cascadian, Earthbound, and Petaluma, I decided it was time to make my industrial organic food chain meal. There isn't any organic fast food restaurant chain to visit, at least not yet. I planned a simple Sunday night dinner and bought the food at my local Whole Foods supermarket. I'd prepare roast chicken, Rosie, with roasted vegetables, yellow potatoes, purple kale, and red winter squash. All but one of them was grown by a company called Cal Organic Farms. They pretty much share the organic vegetable market with Earthbound. On the side would be steamed asparagus in a spring mix salad from Earthbound Farms. Dessert would be even simpler. Organic ice cream from Stonyfield Farm chopped with fresh organic blackberries from Mexico. I also bought one of those Cascadian Farm organic TV dinners. I had a hunch it probably wasn't quite ready for prime time, or at least for my wife. So I ate it myself for lunch, right in its microwavable plastic bowl. 5 minutes on high, and it was good to go. As I peeled back the film over from the bowl, I felt a little like a flight attendant serving meals. Indeed, the meal looked and tasted very much like airline food. To be fair, one shouldn't compare an organic TV dinner to real food, but to a conventional TV dinner. And by that standard, Cascadian Farm has nothing to be ashamed of. Still, the chunks of white meat chicken had only a faint chicken taste. That probably came from the natural chicken flavor mentioned on the box. The creamy rosemary dough sauce was made without cream or milk. I'm getting it. I'm betting it got its creaminess from xanthan gum or some other additive. Airlift asparagus. The dinner went much better, if I didn't mind saying so myself. I roasted the bird in a pan surrounded by the potatoes and chunks of winter squash. After removing the chicken from the oven, I spread the crinkled leaves of kale on a cookie sheet, sprinkled them with some olive oil and salt, and slid them into the hot oven to roast. After 10 minutes or so, the kale was nicely crisped and the chicken was ready to carve. The one vegetable I cooked that wasn't grown by Cal Organic or Earthbound was the asparagus. It had been grown in Argentina. It had been picked, packed, and chilled on Monday, flew by jet to Los Angeles Tuesday, trucked north, and put on sale in Berkeley by Thursday, and steamed by me Sunday night. That one bundle of asparagus presented its own little dilemma. How much fossil fuel was burned to keep it refrigerated and to fly it to the United States? Should farmland in South America be used to grow expensive food for well-off North Americans? Should we even try to eat asparagus or any vegetable out of season? Yet there are good arguments on the other side. My purchase helps the economy of Argentina. It also keeps some of the country's land free from pesticides or chemical fertilizers. This was a lot of baggage for a few spears of asparagus to carry, I admit. So, how did it taste? My jet set and Argentine asparagus tasted.
Okay, so just thinking about this really quickly, look at the picture. Common fruit and vegetable imports. All arrows lead to the US. Look at all the different foods that come from other places around the world, all coming to us. Does that mean that America is kind of spoiled? We have to have food that is grown in other places? Are we being climate control hogs when we spend money on fossil fuels to bring this food to us just so we can have it? Or are we somehow helping these other countries economically? America is failing its purpose? Could be. What's its purpose? It's another question. What is America's purpose? What should we be doing? To be a good country? That's possible. Then you have to think, what's a good country? But we're being little brats? That's possible. What do the rest of you think? All these countries are feeding the United States their fruits and vegetables grown out of season. But in order to do this, they're spending money on fossil fuels. What do fossil fuels do for us? Do for the climate? Bianca, what do you think?
Can you repeat the question?
What do all the fossil fuels do to the climate?
It creates climate change, which is bad for our environment.
Creates climate change, which is bad for the environment. Good. Esteban says, I feel like it's not spoiled because the food from China also goes to Canada and everywhere. Oh, good. So it's not a spoiled kind of personality for America. What does he say right here in this paragraph? Yet there are good arguments on the other side. So what are we also doing when we buy this food? Evelyn? Can you unmute? Oh, she disappeared. Elaine, what do you think? There are good arguments on the other side. Esteban already started saying something about it. We are helping the country by giving them money. Good. There's a lot of background noise at my house. Oh, okay. But what do you think, Evelyn? Are there good arguments on the other side? And food. You're right, Sine. We do transport food to the other countries too, mostly beef and chicken. So what do you think, Evelyn? Are there good arguments on the other side? Could be, Sine. She said God is just looking down at humanity like, what have I created? Yeah, you kind of have to wonder, huh? All right, it's time to go. You guys, please read chapter 11 so that you're prepared for your activity on Thursday. I hope you have a great Veterans Day. Remember all the vets out there who saved this country and took care of you. Okay? Take care. See you later. Bye. You're welcome. Thank you. See you later. Um, will Thursday work? Okay. Did you want to stay to go over some of the assignments or wait till Thursday? Okay, sounds good. I'll see you then on Thursday. Have a good holiday. Guys, it's time to go. I'm pretty much grading everything from October 3rd and up till today. It's the first part of quarter 2. Okay? Luis? It is possible. Just finish everything, okay? Make sure you have those stories done because they're 100 points each and the final essay. 100 points each. That's 300 points. Those are the big ones. Everything else is tiny. Okay? All right. I will see you guys later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I gotta go. The other class is here, okay? See you later.